Here now, finance expert Mitch Roschelle. He's the CEO of M2 Communities and a visiting fellow at the University of San Diego School of Business. However you slice your pie or cake, it's going to be more costly this Thanksgiving. Talk about how this impacts people's spending as they get ready for a big holiday.
Yeah, Marnie, I think it's more expensive on the margin, but I think it's sort of a bellwether for what the entire holiday shopping season is going to be like, which is prices remain high. I think they're up on the margin, as I said, but if you go back to pre-COVID levels, these prices are ridiculously high. And it just doesn't seem for the average consumer like there's going to be any turnaround where prices are actually going to go down. The good news is the rate of inflation is slowing. The bad news is inflation is stubborn and it's compounding and it's still there. And those dinner rolls are, probably 40% more than they were in 2020.
Is this related to the tariffs or is it something more?
No, I think that this is a function of supply and demand. And, I hate to go back to the first week of college economics, but that's really what drives inflation. And the problem, and maybe indirectly, Marnie, to your question, tariffs have, slowed down the addition to supply of some of these items. But the fact of the matter is we haven't meaningfully added to the supply chain for most of the items that go into our meal. And the demand is still there. That's what's keeping the prices so stubbornly high.
The president and the administration has said they're going to continue to focus on affordability, but how much control do they have over these type of everyday items?
I think these average commodities, there isn't a lot of, control. Could we throw a bunch of subsidies at the farmers? Sure. We could throw subsidies at the farmers and, get them to produce more supply. But we've seen throughout history what happens when we try to do that. The fact of the matter is the biggest challenge in affordability, and I think that's going to be a huge talking point in the midterm elections, is really the price of housing. And I think the administration in the last week has put forward some proposals to try to, fix the rate of inflation in housing, because the rate of inflation in housing has not cooled off.
Yeah, and housing affordability is such a critical issue. How much impact do interest rate cuts have on that, and certainly as we look to the end of the year?
I think interest rates cuts are a part of it, but I think there's some hazard if you cut in, or if the Fed cuts interest rates and the Treasury markets cooperate and lower interest rates. I think what we're going to find is that could spur more demand. Now that prices are lower and somebody's monthly payment just went down by $200, that may mean that they can afford that house and they chase after it. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but the issue with housing is certainly one of supply. And we need some fiscal policy that creates incentives for builders to build more supply.
We've been talking about food and housing. What are some other holiday costs that people will be looking to consider their finances come end of the year over the next couple of weeks?
I think it's gifts. We've seen throughout the last several years that gifts have gone from, especially with younger generations, something tangible to something intangible. Teenage friends up through Gen Z and even younger millennials give gift cards to one another. They gift experiences. And if I were to give a little tip, recently I was in my favorite store on the planet, Costco, and I noticed you could buy gift cards at Costco, like a $100 gift card, and you could buy it for $75 or $80, like at a discount. So there are some tips out there for if you're going to be giving experiences to your friends, go buy them at a discount as opposed to paying full retail for them.
Yeah, we get the Costco meal, restaurant gift cards, because you can get them for less there. And I have a friend who says, if Costco doesn't have it, I don't need it. So,
100%.
Yeah, happy holidays, Mitch.
By the way,
oh, go ahead.
That's where I'm buying my turkey, by the way, at Costco.
Oh, there you go. Supersize
this
it.
Week. Yeah, exactly.
Have a great holiday.
See you soon.